On August the 6th, 1991, a fellow named Tim Berners-Lee introduced the world to hypertext markup language, HTML, a way to access information on linked computers. His invention paved the way for the Internet. He knew that it was momentous. But he didn't take out a patent. Instead, 10 days later, he gave his gift away. He laid out his idea and let others develop, expand, and implement it because he believed that that would be the most effective way to bring the Internet into being. His passion was for an accessible worldwide network of information. Within months, Stanford University had set up the first Internet server, and the World Wide Web was born. A year later, in 1992, there were 26 websites online. That's just 20 years ago. Now there are nearly 350 million websites online, about 40% of which are active. Email has changed our lives. Online resources have changed learning and research, brought enormous resources to small towns and rural citizens all over the world. We made friends with our Kenyan UU sister congregation via Facebook on the Internet. Tim Berners-Lee, by the way, is a member of First Parish Unitarian of Lexington, Massachusetts. I mention this not just to brag, but because he himself sees a relationship between his passion for making information accessible and the values of his faith. I imagine that most of us here would agree with him, that the more access we have to information, communication, and the ideas of others, the better off we are. Not just in the realm of molecular biology or Google Maps or Facebook updates, but in the realm of faith, meaning, theology, and values. We mostly get our ideas about faith and meaning first from our parents, then community, media. As we get older, from reading, from courses, friends, teachers, and then, after amassing some experiences of our own, becoming confident in our ability to understand and navigate the world, from conversation, book groups, from puzzling things out for ourselves, and from digesting the slings and arrow of life of caring with others. All human beings find meaning through these steps, but most want or must stick close to the received truth, the sacred books, the teachings of their family religion. They navigate and digest, but they stay within a framework that posits some absolute truths which are not questioned. We UUs take this one step further. Here there are no absolute truths that can't be questioned. We start at square one. We have a method, but no required material. In this, we're a lot like the internet phenomenon, Wikipedia. Wikipedia was created 10 years after Tim Berners-Lee handed HTML to the world. Its creators wanted to manage a free, user-created encyclopedia on the internet. They combined the concept of wiki, which was a software allowing several users to set up a website easily. Wiki is a Hawaiian word meaning quick. When mom wants you to come in, she says, wiki, wiki, come on, quick. So wiki and the word encyclopedia. On Wikipedia, users could create articles on topics of interest to them. Others could add their knowledge and even correct. This was a big change from the usual encyclopedia creation strategy, which, as I mentioned, is to collect your very best experts, each to write an article on their specialty. We, here in Unitarian Universalism, like Wikipedia, don't put our faith in experts. We put our faith in you. During its first half-decade, Wikipedia was a joke. The easiest way to get halfway baked opinions and questionable facts, some even inserted by malicious writers, who, for instance, plagued the entry on abortion, erasing facts and adding fantasies according to their ideology. Actually, there was quite a lot of that at first. It turns out that unmitigated freedom is not the best way to find truth and information, Turns out, if you have nothing but freedom, then the fanatics have a leg up on the conversation. Wikipedia quickly created guidelines and began to advise, discipline, and in a few cases, blacklist abusers. In this church, we champion freedom within the bonds of a covenanted community, where we also champion civility, safety, fact-checking, taking turns, giving everyone an equal opportunity to speak, and so on. We've discovered that we only thrive when we have ready strategies to help people contribute positively. Wikipedia began to thrive as it learned the same thing. These days, Wikipedia is the 6th most active website in the world, and many studies have shown that its articles, written by whomever wants to contribute, are just as likely to be accurate as the traditional expert-written encyclopedia, which of course also can be wrong, and if you want proof of that, just check what the Britannica has to say about Unitarian Universalism. I wonder how many of you have ever contributed to a Wikipedia article. Some? Some. I did that about 3 years ago. I was working on a sermon and used Wikipedia to look up the date of Ralph Waldo Emerson's famous Divinity School address, a topic about which I know a lot, but I'm terrible about dates, and I needed to know the exact date. And I found that the article in Wikipedia had lots of notes saying citation needed. Well, I knew where to get those citations. The books were right there on my shelf in my office, and so I signed in and started editing, citing, and generally having a great time, volunteering my knowledge for the good of the world. Really, it was very, very satisfying. The founders of Wikipedia had a radical idea that turned out to be valid. They believed that ordinary, interested volunteers working online with a few rules to guide them could do as good a job of amassing knowledge as a bunch of paid experts. When I first heard about this project, I was as skeptical as everybody else. Mostly I was skeptical that that many people would volunteer that much. But I was also planning to stay with my usual source of facts, the paper encyclopedia, which used to be in the church library. But I was wrong. I even got hooked into the excitement of making my own contributions, and now I understand. We UUs probably shouldn't have been as surprised as we were about Wikipedia, because really, that's how we do religion. We too believe that ordinary interested people can, especially if they have a way to converse with others and get new ideas, find the strands of truth and meaning, faith and practice that will work well for them in their lives. Like Wikipedia, we don't start with experts, the sacred books or doctrines of the ages, as a basis for what we all believe here. Rather, we start with ordinary people who have an interest in the subject. We ask them what they believe and what works for them. That's so radical in Western religion that I have to say it again. We don't start with a sacred book or a revealed truth as a basis for what we all believe here. Instead, we start with you, with what you believe and cherish, with how you explain the experiences you've had, and how you have incorporated the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune into your philosophy. You write the article on your faith. You may consult the great books and the old experts. Indeed, you probably should do that. But the article is yours in the end. You can't just read the official entry and stop there. You have to write yourself. And that's the rub. This isn't an easy religion. The day that I was writing a sermon about Emerson and ended up writing a Wikipedia article, that turned out to be a long day. Because writing the Wikipedia article, satisfying as it was real work. And this is a real work religion. When we come here, we give up the mental unpleasantness of trying to fit what we think into official doctrines for the refreshing work of working things out ourselves. But we have to do that work. Our program here offers helps, sermons to get you thinking, groups to help you verbalize your thoughts and be exposed to others' thinking, classes to introduce what the experts think and the old books say, and practice groups to give you experience and space to grow. But there's no official article on prayer by Christine, which you must believe, or article on humanism written by Roy Moody, who teaches our class on humanism. And you don't have to believe those things or out you go. It's all offered simply as enrichment, as help for sovereign writers of their own articles of faith. Wikipedia started as an act of faith in unbridled freedom, and it was successful enough that it matured and developed some rules, a little like the covenants and ways of doing things that we have in this church. Wikipedia rules are called the 5 pillars. I thought they were quite instructive, so instructive that I took a stab at the 5 pillars of Unitarian Universalism. See what you think. Here's the first pillar of Wikipedia. Wikipedia is an encyclopedia. It exists to document and make available knowledge in a certain form, the form of an encyclopedia. It's not a dictionary, though words are defined, a vanity press, though famous people are discussed, or an advertising platform, although there are articles about products which happen to be for sale. Okay, so now we know what we're aiming at. Very important. This church is a religious community. It exists to help people grow in spirit by doing the sorts of things that religious communities do: preach, teach, practice, serve. It's not a social club, although people make friends here. It's not a social action organization, though that is a part of what we do. It's not an arts organization, although art and music are important to us and parts of our program. It's a religious community. The second pillar of Wikipedia is that it's written from a neutral point of view, factual, substantiated, and balanced when there are several points of view. It aims to be a piece of intellectually respectable work. Unitarian Universalism is a faith which respects what science and history know about our world. This is a religion which stays away from claims which are contrary to this knowledge, that is to say, the irrational, and is cautious about the non-rational, those claims which lie outside what science and history call truth, things like life after death, for instance, which can be neither proven nor disproven. We understand that there are multiple points of view about most subjects, especially those subjects in that non-rational realm, and we honor the richness of that diversity. Here's the third pillar of Wikipedia. It's free content which anyone can use, edit, modify, and distribute. Wikipedia's computers, staff salary, and massive electric bill are paid for by donation. Every time you log on, you're asked for a donation these days, you've probably noticed, but you can still use Wikipedia even if you decline to help. Wikipedia trusts that those who care enough will foot the bills, and so far they have. This church, like most congregations with a Christian heritage, operates in the same way. The basic services that we offer, worship, Sunday school, classes, social activities, and community projects, are offered to everybody without charge, although we do ask for donations. Our bills, utilities, salaries, buildings, they are mostly paid for by the people who especially care, which is you. Thank you. The fourth pillar of Wikipedia is that the editors, and that's anybody who edits, that's virtually anybody. There have been elementary school classes that have made Wikipedia articles. The editors are expected to be civil, respectful, disagree gently, avoid personal attack, and find common ground. I thought that was an especially nice list of civil virtues. And our church is like that too. Here, freedom and civility go hand in hand. Differences handled with respect, personal attacks are not tolerated because in the end they stifle debate and they damage the social atmosphere that allows people to pursue their own truths. And amusingly, the fifth pillar of Wikipedia is that it does not have firm rules. It's the spirit of the project rather than the law that counts. It seems to me that the reason you can have a fifth pillar that's fuzzy is that the others are pretty firm. If you know what you're doing and how and why, and if you trust people by nature, which Wikipedia does to its core, they've found that they can manage without resort to reams of rules. First Unitarian is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association, the largest body in a worldwide religious community of Unitarians, which values information, new insight, and innovation by individuals as they tend to the spiritual side of their lives. We don't bind ourselves to any one scripture. We find wisdom in many places, sacred and secular. We don't give our members a package of stories to believe or traditions to follow. Instead, we show you how faith could work in your life and encourage each person to customize the program to meet their needs. As the joke goes, we don't give you the 10 commandments, we give you the 10 suggestions. Unitarian Universalism began hundreds of years ago with people who wanted a little more freedom than Orthodox Christianity allowed. Like Michael Servetus, burned at the stake in 1553 because he wanted to interpret the Bible for himself, and by his reading decided that the doctrine of the Trinity was in error. Like King John Sigismund of 17th century Transylvania, who wanted the people of his land, Catholics, Lutherans, Reformed, and Unitarians, to live together in peace and mutual tolerance, and decreed that. Like Thomas Jefferson, so impressed with the social teachings of Jesus that he compiled his own Bible by cutting out the miracle stories and other things that he thought were extraneous. He didn't allow that Bible to be published until after his death for obvious reasons, but it's still in print today. It's called the Jefferson Bible. Like a small group of freethinkers in Kitengela, Kenya, who were restive with the conservative Christianity around them and found Unitarian Universalism on the internet and this church through Facebook. Like me and you, who meditate on Buddhist scriptures, sing hymns whose tunes and words are often in the Protestant tradition, light candles as Catholics do, and read the Tao Te Ching. We're a wiki faith, a group of people of diverse opinions who use similar methods to form a faith community that serves our needs. Everyone writes their own article. Together, we are Unitarian Universalists.